Hi everyone, my name is Chris Iremonger. I lead the sales team focusing on education here in Mountain View for Google Apps for Education. And this is Jess Daniel, who is also focusing on Google Apps for Education from a marketing outreach standpoint. We wanted today kind of go over and just give you a brief demo of some of the tools. Maybe you've seen them, maybe you haven't. I was interested in just seeing a number of hands of people who've used different ones, services within Google Apps, as well as kind of go over what exactly Google Apps is. Has a lot of confusion out there, you know. I oftentimes think when I ask the question, have you used Google Apps, I get a lot of yeses. I really love Google Earth, which is a Google application, but it's not part of our Google Apps suite, which we're offering to educations at this time. I mean, you can use it, and we'd love for you guys to use it in the education setting, but you know, Google Apps itself includes Gmail, so an email interface, a calendar interface, Google Calendar, documents and spreadsheets allowing you to communicate and share documents, Google Chat, and then our start page, which is, I call kind of an on-ramp to a portal. Adrian described it, and they replaced their portal with it. Absolutely applicable, and you can do that today if you guys want to, or if you have a portal solution or want to use it in that type of application. But I really see it as kind of like my home page, right? The place I go to that takes me out to all the other services, or that I would go to see information easily. So how many people here have actually used Gmail on kind of a regular basis? Okay. What about Google Calendar? Okay. I'll focus a little more on that one. And have you guys used documents and spreadsheets very much? Okay. Okay. So I'll go kind of a high level through Gmail, some of the cool features, and also try and show you maybe a few tricks and tips you don't know today on how to use the service. So the first core thing that I really want to highlight, and that we always highlight right up here, is the Google search box. Unlike any other email system that you've used before, probably, you've always tried to clean out your inbox. At least I know I have. I've used, installed email clients all the time, and at the end of every day I would try and put all my email into a folder somewhere and be like, okay, I'm organizing my life. But what I'd find is if I came back a couple weeks later, maybe a month later, and tried to find that email, I somehow had this giant hierarchy of all these folders and different paths, and I was like, well, was that in this way? Well, maybe the context of this has now changed, and I put it over here. And I'd find I spent just as much time searching for my email as I did organizing it. One of the great things around Gmail is we let you keep labels, which are essentially like folders. So if you want to click on one of them, you can go back into it. So like if I want to see everything that I classified as an Econ 101 project, there they all are. But it's not required that I do this. I could easily search for any of these emails as well and find them. The one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that we have advanced search. So if you click on the search option, it gives you a lot of different options. So if you're having problems, maybe you have thousands of emails that you can't find or something, or maybe you search class or something, right? A very common word. You're going to get almost every email back in a search result. So clicking on this more options really lets you kind of define and refine how you want to find that information. One quick tip on how you can find more information in your Gmail. The other great thing I'll show you, as Jeff mentioned, was this threaded conversation. It takes a little while to get used to this. It's the idea that when you're having a conversation or emailing back and forth, it really is a conversation. Most of the time, you don't send out an email without expecting some kind of reply back. And to keep your life organized, we keep those all together for you. So this is the example Jeff showed in our example of the Econ project, which I'll walk you guys through. It shows all these messages. If I was to open it up with a new message, it would actually be stacked up like this, which is our paper view. So essentially each page is stacked on top of each other. But if I want to dig into any of these, maybe Jeff's phone number is down there. Yeah.
Sometimes even you have a lot of them. It's just a line.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not even a name.
Yeah, and if that's the case, you can click on that and it will expand out. Yep. Yeah. So if you get,
I saw it, like freaked out.
for sure. So the scenario she's bringing up, if you get a lot of replies back and you viewed them, it will show up as a condensed paper stack so that you can see what's on the very top easily without having to scroll through as much screen real estate. But your email is still there. You can just click on it and it will then show in this view. But the use case is maybe, Jeff sent me an email or a phone number or something I want to see back in time. The other thing is people think that this interface is great, but they say, what do I do if I want to read one email and send one email, right? Well, we provide that functionality as well. Up here, kind of, if you view, there's a new window button. And if I click on that new window button, it pops out that message and puts it into a new window. So here I can see, that same email thread, and maybe I want to then compose an email. I can then look what's over here. I can copy and paste. I can do whatever I need to do to provide that type of interaction. The next thing I want to show you guys is kind of this. Let me see if I'm is that instant messaging. So I've actually loaded up chat on my BlackBerry. So I can actually talk through my Google Apps account to another Google Apps account. And this is a really nice feature. So I can say, right? And it appears too small for you guys to see, but I can reply back. I can also do this through any other web browser with another person with this loaded. And one of the key things about all of our technology, we try and build it on open standards. So this means that we used an instant messaging protocol called Jabber. Jabber is an open protocol standard, meaning that any other service that wants to lie on top of or integrate using that technology to do that two-way communication can. Much like we offer many other protocols like using iCal and whatnot, and I'll show you guys later. So I can actually reply back.
Is AIM one of them?
AIM does not use the Jabber protocol. There's a number of different ways to kind of federate between the two. There's not any kind of company-provided solution right now that provides that federation. But if you see, here you can see I've replied back, talking to myself, and I can also pop this out just like I could with an instant messaging program or whatnot and move it around. So people think that using these web-based technologies that you're limited to a static piece of HTML. But as Adrian talked about, this AJAX technology provides this two-way interaction without needing to refresh the screen. So it really provides students and faculty a rich functionality interface at any machine and any computer. Which brings up the second point. I could take this laptop if I wanted to and throw it out the window and take her laptop and have all these tools and all of these interfaces, if she lent it to me. No longer am I tied to one machine. At Google, we use these same tools. I've had problems with a couple computers and whatnot, and I'm able to get within probably 10, 15 minutes back to a productive state. Whereas using, my old systems or old technology that I used, I would have to try and get that PST file or get that piece of information and put it back on and deal with all my settings, and maybe all my documents were on that hard drive that, crashed or was lost. But using these types of tools, really it's any computer you sit down at, you can easily access and power these things from anywhere around the world. So the next thing, Jess has invited me to chat, as you can see on here. We don't provide open access to chat. We believe that in order to have the permission to chat with someone else, they should implicitly accept that. That means that, if I'm not comfortable with her, or I don't know who she is, kind of going back to that behavioral assessment, people should be smart about how they use technology. And this is one way that you can be alerted. Obviously, I know who she is, so I can click yes, and I could potentially receive an instant message from her right now. The next thing I wanted to show you guys was actually, I'll wait for her, was the calendar. So Google Calendar, well, as you can see, there's Jess chatting with me. One thing that's also I want to show you actually is you can actually reply to any message by chat if that other person is online. So let's say, let me send Jess an email. Whatever you want to essentially send. She can then reply back by chat to that email or reply back. So I'm going to have her just answer that email and give me a respond back, and it'll show you guys what the threaded conversation looks like when it comes by. and then I can actually reply back if she's online via chat, and it will be kept in that threaded conversation. So maybe it's like I'm looking for a simple piece of information, and I can see that that person's online. If I send an email, it could be an hour or maybe the next day before I get a response. I can simply get that answer and keep it all organized in the same way that I do my day-to-day kind of functional processing within my job.
Chris, you said that chat would be contained as it was an email conversation?
Yep.
And so if you send that chat and they're not online, they can get into my email.
Yes.
So that was a miracle.
Yep. Yeah, we can reply to offline as well. So I can, if she's offline, I can send her a message, and when she comes back online, it will appear again.
Did you say that again? So I sent a chat. My son taught me this. I sent a chat, and they were offline, and it went into the email. And when I went back online, it was there. You can I didn't even care whether it was email or chat. It just was. That's cool. Okay.
So here you can see she's replied, and it gives me this option down here because she's showing up online. Not only can I reply, I don't know if it's too low on the screen. Let me scroll down a little. I can reply by chat, or I can just reply to the message. This is really nice, and if I reply by chat, it pops up the message down here, and it puts the subject message in for her, letting her know in what context I'm wanting to talk to her. So now if you look, after we chat, I can actually refresh this, and you'll see that the chat is actually sitting right here as well. So I'll close this. And here you can see that her chat is right there in that line of communication. We really don't think that email is the only way of communication, so what we're really trying to do is keep all of your communication in an organized fashion centered around your email. So
not every message in the chat shows up because they get real stacked up the other conversations.
Exactly, yeah. So it groups it with, each time I close that window, it will make it into a new box. So this is only if you have in conjunction with an email message. But I can look at all my chats if I want. So I can click over here on this chat button, and here you can see we keep all of those chats just like we keep email, letting you search across it later to find whatever is interesting to you. And on the flip side of this, if you guys aren't comfortable or don't like the privacy ramifications of us keeping these chats, it's an option that you can turn off on your account as well, and we won't actually keep this on your side. So the other option, kind of leading around the privacy and making sure we give you the tools to let you communicate in the means that you're comfortable in the environment of us hosting, is you can actually chat off the record as well. Chatting off the record means it won't be captured by any of our interfaces or whatnot. It just means the communication will be exchanged kind of in a one-time fashion, and when we close it, it won't be recorded. So
there's another kind of neat function, and I use it like if I'm in a different group, like in a different committee or whatever. If you hit contact, you can open up a group.
Yep.
And then when and if you've emailed people, you just type in the first few letters, it automatically starts adding them as people on the list. And then if you set it up with students, and you don't want to compromise their email addresses, then you can copy and paste into the BCC, the blind carbon copy, so that nobody gets a copy of anybody else's email address.
Yep. And we also, if your school is interested in more contact sharing type functionality, we do have an all-inclusive contact sharing tool right now. We've turned it off from all domains. So that means for all education domains, because by default we think education institutions might not want all of their contacts shared together, whereas at a company or somewhere else it might be okay that everyone else knows everyone else's email address. But we are able to turn it on a domain by domain basis. So if you guys are interested in that type of functionality, just send us an email or let us know, and we can turn it on a domain by domain level. But until we provide that additional level of control that will let you guys decide who can be seen by everyone or have the opt-out functionality or whatever is required, we have it off by default. Do you have a question?
Chris, kind of in that same line.
Yeah.
I use Gmail to communicate school-wide. We have about 1,800 kids in our school. There's 500 recipients max per email, 1,000 per day. So I divide up my school and send out 4 over the course of 2 days. Is there any talk of
Yeah, for sure. And I can talk a little bit about that. So we have a restriction inherent to the technology to prevent against abuse. This means that a default account, yes, if someone's account gets compromised or someone's doing something they shouldn't, we believe that 500 unique addresses sent to a day is about the cap before someone's potentially doing abusive behavior. We are aware that there are certain accounts and certain school-ran accounts that should be able to send more than that if they want to. This is something that we don't have a solution publicly available yet. I've seen some schools just create maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 announcement email addresses, and then they just blast out from them. We know that that's a workaround and not a complete answer to the question, but we're kind of working on a balanced solution that we can provide that. Kind of as Adrian said, the additional security and controls that you inherently get with our technology, as well as letting you kind of communicate to all of your users.
So do I sit and wait, or should I write somebody?
Well, as far as the 500 email sending limit right now, I'd probably wait a little bit. But around the idea, we're also exploring the idea that letting an unlimited amount go within a domain, or other solutions. So there's a few workarounds, but the problem with that solution is that people are still, if an account gets compromised, then the spam's just going to be coming to your school. So it's really a balance between the protection of the user versus the protection of the domain. But we definitely are aware of that problem and working on a number of different solutions. Yeah.
I just had a quick follow-up to the opting out.
Yes.
For having all the email available. Is that per person, or I know it's.
Are you talking about Jeff's presentation where he said we can remove it, or?
No, just what you had said about students' emails being that they could search for other students.
Oh, you mean the contact sharing?
Right, contact sharing. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Each student would opt out.
Right now they can't do that. So that's why we don't have it turned on yet.
Okay.
But if your school wanted it and was okay with everyone having a one-to-one, everybody that had an account on the system could potentially look up everyone else on the system, we can turn it on today. Okay. So for example, the standard edition and the business or premier edition of our solution, that functionality is turned on by default. We just wanted to value your guys' privacy rights and the rights that you've imposed to your students and their privacy by not explicitly exposing it to everyone.
It's on, but they can turn it on and off in the admin console.
No, it's turned off. So I'm more than willing to talk more about email, but one of the other great features I wanted to show you guys was actually our calendar.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
An email question. When
yeah.
you're searching email and the advanced, are you able to search the text of the email, or you're?
Yeah. Yep. So let's play a little game. You can look. Let's find an email from this one, right? We'll take this section. Go back to the inbox. There's the email.
The only other function that I missed is that when you're looking at all the emails, you see a date but no time. Is there a way that you can turn the time on?
So it actually shows the time only for the specific day on this view. So it's all ordered by chronological, but if you want to see the time within a specific message.
Well, I know you can do it by the message, but you just there's no.
But in the search, it doesn't show up.
Yes. No. Yeah. The timestamp is withheld purely to the message itself. Okay. I honestly can't say why that is one way or the other, except for the idea that you probably a year from now won't remember what time that email was sent. So it's held on the screen when it might be valuable. When it's held within a certain day, it becomes less valuable. But it's a great question. Did you guys have any other questions or want to see anything else kind of in the email interface? Okay, so to get to calendar, we provide the easy link right up at the top. You can click on the calendar. I've done that. You can see it's open right here. So I made this kind of fictitious student calendar. Jeff and I both have our accounts at Google University, and sometimes we pretend to be students and do homework assignments and whatnot to see what happens, and we can walk through. I sadly cannot do economics very well anymore. which we tried to do a little while ago, which I can show you guys the example. And what you can see is actually, the first thing I want to show you guys is over here on the left, you can see that there's a number of different calendars. So I have my personal calendar right here. This is events that I create myself. So I can turn them on and off, and you see that they appear or disappear from the screen. I can create sub-calendars, like maybe I have a personal calendar that I want to have. Maybe it's my I don't know, workout schedule or something like that that's slightly removed, but I want to be able to see it independently of everything else. The next thing I want to show you is the ability to have a centrally managed external calendar. So all of these different color events on here, for the most part, except for the light blue ones, are all different classes as I'm defining it in my fictitious school's day. So an account has created this, and it's just being shared with me. So I can turn off and on all the political science classes. I could also potentially, if I was the instructor and had access to this is more of a student's view. I can log into the other view and show you. But I could potentially cancel a class and it would just disappear from the calendar.
So when you say externally created, somebody else created that calendar.
Yes.
And it's available somewhere.
To as many as users. Yeah. So there's a few different ways. So I'll show you right now. You can add right here, and you can say create a new calendar.
Okay.
Let's say I'm going to make one for Google at School. And then here's where the goodness comes in partially. You can share with everyone. Now this will allow you to create a public calendar, and I can show you guys this functionality in a few minutes, meaning that anybody in the world could potentially find this calendar. You can also create a calendar that can only be accessed within your domain, or users can add that calendar within your domain. And this can all be controlled on a kind of a top-level administrative control. If you don't want, like, let's say you have students on this system and you don't want them sharing public calendars, you can turn that off completely. You can also turn on and off, each individual. So I'll show you guys that stuff in a few minutes on the admin console. Now, if you wanted to, let me create my calendar. So it now is showing up. It shows up into my managed calendars instead of other calendars because I have access to edit it. If I wanted to create a Google at School event, let's say I want to do it over here, I could easily drag it out, and then you get this nice little drop down and say who's actually making this. So instead of my account, we're going to make something for Google at School. And there's the Google event. So I can now show you how to actually share this to other people. This can also be done through our APIs. So you can potentially send out an email inviting people to this calendar, and it would show up then by default except onto theirs. So let me show you though. If I wanted to add an individual user, here's that Google at School account. I can click share this calendar. Oh, it's in calendar details, sorry. And right down here, you could send someone this iCal link, which is basically a link to this calendar, and they could add it. But let's say I just wanted to add it and have it show up on someone else's calendar. If I want to do that, I can add that person's name down here. Let's say I want to share it with my google.com calendar. So I could do, and then I can say what level of permission I want that person to have. This is a really nice functionality if you have like a group or a team and you want to have one main calendar, but you want to give a lot of other people the ability to edit that calendar. They could potentially access it. You can decide, I only want my students to be able to see this calendar, but maybe I have a teacher's assistant, or I co-teach something, or this is a club event. I can easily let other people edit it. So you really get the choice of, you can allow them to change it and manage the sharing, meaning that they can then invite other people to share the calendar as well. You can allow them to only make changes to events, meaning they can edit it, but they can't really change the core functionality settings. They can see all the event details. So if I was a student, you might want to set this so that they can see every single class or whatnot. Or if you want to make a calendar that you only want to show blocked out time but not show the contents, maybe it's you want to let your students see your personal calendar, but you only want them to see free busy. Everything inside of that would show up so that you could see all the contents of each event, but if I saw it, it would just show up as a blocked out period of time with no detail behind it. So let me share this. I click save. Now, it's warning me saying, you're going to share this with Chris on a Google account. This is outside your domain. So we put these little reminders in. Even if you give explicit permission to let someone share this outside their domain, just, heads up. Maybe you might want to do this, or maybe you didn't really mean that Chris. You meant, a Chris within this Google University account. So something else I wanted to show you guys was the event scheduler. So let's say I schedule an event. I'll add Jeff. Let's say study time. Now if I click this check guest resource availability, it will actually show me Jeff's calendar. Jeff doesn't have much created. Here we go. And I can see when he's free and when he's busy, letting me find the optimal time to really schedule that meeting. You could also potentially look and add resources to this. So we have resource scheduling. So maybe you have conference rooms or camcorders or other things that you want to let people be able to schedule. You can add it to the resource scheduling, and they can then potentially see if it's available or not. I'm going to add this in here. It looks like it's reporting that it's not going to be available, but I'm going to do it anyways, and it'll show you what happens when it can't sign up to a room. I click OK. I click Save. It says, do you want to send invites? Sure, that's fine. And my event's created. Now, if I go to my email, in a couple minutes, it'll probably refresh back saying declined, right? This meeting room, you're either allowed to share it, you don't have access to it, or it's busy for whatever reason. So I can show you guys kind of after I show you all the interfaces, just how easy it is to set up and manage all of this. You don't have to be a computer scientist. You don't have to be a computer expert to set this up or manage it. It's really simple. You just need to be able to use the mouse and the keyboard and have an internet connection. It's pretty much how I define it. There are, I should say, more complex things you can do if you want to. So that means we have a lot of different APIs and access points that Jeff was talking about before. That if you want to do a deep level of integration or tie-in, that functionality is there, but it just takes a little bit more, and it's not a requirement.
Okay, question.
Yep.
So a different way to export out, you had an XML export out.
Yep.
Could you create a calendar, export it out as an XML, now take that and put that on your home page of your school's home web page, and now you could have a calendar for all of your athletic events, and now that's on your page,
Yep.
and then when it's updated by one person, that's updated.
Yes.
Right.
Let me show you how to do that. It actually is not.
Wow. Thank you, Kyle.
It's not. You wouldn't use the XML interface. We'll actually build that calendar for you and give you the HTML. You just need to put into your web page.
Sort of like an embed code.
Yeah, exactly. We put it in as an iframe, so it sits around it, and I can show you what it would look like. So you find the calendar that you want to share. Let's say it's this Google at School one. If I click this HTML link, one, it's going to give me this lengthy HTML. I can use the configuration tool if I want. And what it's going to do is, let me give it, it lets me kind of build that calendar. So let's say Google at School. You can define how big you want it, essentially, depending on what size and how you want it placed into your website. You can define how many events you want to show up per day. What? Now let's update this. Let me see.
And then just copy and paste that code into
Yeah,
HTML.
and let me go back, and I'll see if I can get one to pop up.
Now that will cover more than 1 month, or just 1 month?
Oh, I see. Give me 1 second. I got to turn this on. So I've actually disabled the public access to this feature. Hold on. This is the administrative interface that I'm going to quickly jump through here, but I'll answer any questions or show you what it looks like.
It wasn't set up in the calendar itself.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. That's what I get for giving a live demo.
The second tab.
Yeah.
Talking and doing at the same time.
Right, it's really hard.
I can't chew gum and walk either. Here we go.
Because I'm seeing
So-
that this is useful, that you may want to give like a member of the clerical staff an account within your domain and allow them to have certain calendars that they can access, and now that's now fed in directly into your web page through, through that feed, and now they don't have to know any code whatsoever. They just update the calendar, and the calendar gets updated.
So let's go. Oh. Let me refresh. Whoop. So here you go. So here's the big version of the calendar, and here you can see that demo. Let me make it smaller. Let's say you want to put something really small on your website. Hold on. Let me sign out of Google Talk. Now let me, and here you can see, here's a really small version. You can also set it to be agenda only at first. So let's say it would showcase each day.
And it would list all the events for that day.
Yep.
That would be great for like athletic events, events happening in school.
Yep.
Now that's just on your web page, and that person doesn't need to know any code.
Yep. So if I want to add something on here, so here you can see is like that demo event that I created. Here you can see, and I can also give you this add to Google or add to my calendar, which means that it will add
that event to your own personal calendar.
Chris, that was how to take one calendar and post it online. Can you say, like, if I have 7 different calendars and they're all color coded for me, but for my public page, I don't care what they're color coded, they're different calendars. Can you kind of like smash layers together and
that's a good question. So not out of the box. It kind of goes back to that you could potentially write something that could parse that iCal feed, which is just XML.
Yeah, I can do that.
And
I was going to say, whoa.
We're going to come to your school.
Yeah, really, you guys.
No, I don't think so.
yeah, so it's a good question. Right now, no. But that type of functionality is definitely something that we're hearing from you guys as something that you want to. The idea to do more kind of manipulation around each event and whatnot. I wouldn't surprise me if there's not some open source or code that does that already.
I'm not the only one who wants to do that. I like separated calendars on my machine or in my account.
Yep.
I want the public to see them all as one thing. They don't care if it's
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great question. So the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about too is we provide, just like everyone else, the day, month, week agenda views, like every other. But the thing I really like is this next 4-day view. So, today's Thursday. How often do you really on Thursday want to know what happened on Monday? You want to know what's happening today and what meetings you have to go to tomorrow or get ready for in the next couple of days. So we actually gave you this view that lets you kind of see into the future but not have to get distracted by the past. This 4 days can be configured to any number you want. I think up to like, I don't know. Here, let me change it.
Really?
Yeah, there you go. So you can set this up to 4 weeks. Now, I would argue that maybe 4 weeks is a long time, but
you said there's 7 days. That's usually a week.
That's another week.
yep, it's a rolling 7-day from that exact day.
Where was that?
So here you can see I got my weekend, and there's kind of what's happening. It's a really helpful view to kind of see what's happening today and what's happening in the future. Just one way that we saw, people have been making calendars forever. One little enhancement that we tried to give that would, help. The other thing is the search box. Much like everything else, I can search for my calendar events now on my own. Yes?
You're going to show us about pop-ups? The calendar's going to give you a pop-up message?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just thought of it. It just popped into my head.
We have weather on our calendar too. See those little signs?
Yeah. So you can actually enable weather for different locations, and it will be kind of the weather prediction up there. It does, I think, a 5-day forecast. So, it's 450. Okay. So, I'll show you guys the pop-up stuff later. Jess is reminding me that there's still a few more things to go through and show you guys. The next thing that was kind of showcased, which a lot of you didn't seem to actually have used, was our documents and spreadsheets. So as Jeff kind of showed you that picture of the one Word document that gets forked out to 4, that gets forked out to 16, that comes back to 1, that gets passed around. This is a really great tool that lets either your students work on reports together, or lets other faculty or other teachers work on lesson plans or other things either on your campus or at a completely different campus. So I have a couple examples to show you. The first thing is that obviously this is the interface. We have that search bar just like we have on Gmail, so you can find your documents, find what you're looking for. We have a number of different ways to kind of display. You can see who you've shared items with. And then you can also add folders. Now these folders are what I would call probably smart folders. One of these documents can sit into as many folders as you want. So it's not a one-to-one. It just means every time you click on that folder, it will show you the contents that you've put in there. Yeah, it's exactly like labels within Gmail, except we updated this, and users were kind of confused about what a label was, but they really understand what the folder paradigm are. So just kind of showing you how different tools get updated. So Jess actually shared this Harlem Renaissance project with us, which is, here you can see it's rich text. You can have inline comments. And it's essentially 2 teachers sharing resources on the Harlem Renaissance that they've been working on together.
Is there a limitation to how many simultaneous people can be on your doc?
I believe right now it's 50.
I think it's 20.
Yeah,
It could have been.
We know it's 20, right? Kathy?
Okay. So maybe we have some special thing. We've tried to.
We know it's 20.
No one told us, and so I was just checking.
Yeah.
I think Chris just gave away the future.
Well, we're always trying to do more. So Jeff showed you guys that econ project that we attempted to do, I'll say, and we actually answered it all. Some things I want to show you is one, as we were talking about, the idea of having multiple people edit everything is great, except for when you try and go back and say, who did what and how does it all align, right? So we give you this revision tab up here, which you can click on. And what it does is it shows you line by line everything that was changed. So you can see who added what, and there's you can essentially compare different options within this field. So the other thing is obviously how do you share this with people, right? Say you've made a document. So I'll make a new document right now and kind of show you guys. So I click on this new. It gives me what type of document I want to create. Let's say I want to make a document. All I need to do now is click this share button, and I can add other collaborators to this document. And I can decide if I want them to only see this document or if I want to allow them to edit it. Which is a key distinction, just like the calendar, just like everything else. Maybe you have people who, maybe the students want to publish it to their class or share it with a couple of the other students, but they don't want to let that other student change the work that they've made. So you could add them either as collaborators or viewers under these two tabs.
Add me as a collaborator.
So I'm going to add Jess. Again, warning me that she's outside of our protected area.
Has there been any discussion about this being an add-only thing? Because when I use this with my students, I'll do a spreadsheet and I'll have one line per kid and enter a bunch of data. But I don't want to screw with anybody else's and anybody else in row.
Yep.
Is there any way to say add only but don't erase what's there? I mean, not yet, obviously, but has there been discussion of that?
So you want the use case scenario where you can define areas that they can edit, but not other areas that they can't? Is that?
Well, that would be great, but that sounds really complicated. I'd like to have an add only.
No deleting.
Yeah, no.
Oh, gotcha.
So they can't mess with somebody else's.
Well, they can mess with it, but
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so-
track it with revisions. I've
Yeah.
done that and nailed a couple kids, but once they find out that, wow, yeah, there's 35 of us that all have information they're adding, but they can go back and say something else about somebody else.
I haven't heard anything like that, but something I can take back to the product team and bring to them.
Middle school, yes, absolutely.
So here you can see, no hands. It should appear automatically, but I'll speed things up if you want to. If you know that something's there, I think Jess might not have saved for her yet.
The new feature on the spreadsheet where it puts a green box
Yep.
on what's being edited, I really like that.
Yeah, I'll show you guys that right now too.
That came out like a week ago.
Yep. So I'll share this with Jess as well. Here, we can hop back over.
There we go.
See, she's giving me an action item to take your guys' product feedback or take the feedback to the product team. And which is one example of how these services are great, right? If we listen and hear something from you guys, we can roll out an update without disrupting service or waiting for a service pack or a patch or whatever it is. Many other installed applications, right? You might have to wait a year for the next, or maybe even a few years to get that one feature that they've been trying to do for a long time. Yeah.
And even then you have to wait for it to sort of download and make sure
Exactly.
it messes something up.
Yeah, so would I be the only one that would want like the little chat window in that box?
No, that's,
That would be nice.
yep.
Because I know it's in this.
Yeah, and it's one of the kind of benefits and the restrictions about this is obviously because we don't wait for those formal release points. Anytime a product has something that we think is ready to go out to you guys, we try and put it out. So because these are two different applications being developed, although they kind of tie into one interface together.
But you get the chat going together.
Yeah.
The chat going separate. Not within the document.
So.
Header row is really good.
I'll invite Jess onto this while I'm sending this off, and she's. Is that? Do you know what time we need to?
You can go until 5:15.
Okay.
So maybe 5 more minutes.
Yep, and then we'll take
10 for questions.
Sure. So I'm going to wait for her to kind of log in and maybe put some populated data into this spreadsheet, and then we can walk through it. But I wanted to show you guys the start page as well.
Yeah, because one of the issues, so I personally use the iGoogle interface for myself. And within that, I have a Blogger account. If I'm in Firefox and open up a new tab in Firefox and just type in blogger.com on the new tab, it automatically recognizes me as being logged in and will automatically dump me into my Blogger account. If I try to do the same thing with the domain, it doesn't work because it doesn't recognize, it doesn't recognize the kids in Reader and it doesn't recognize the kids in Blogger. And that's I don't know, it's a little bit of a stumbling block.
Yep. So the scenario is obviously, I don't know, have you guys seen our personalized start page at all, or the iGoogle? Essentially, this technology is inherently based on that same type of technology. We're basically repackaging the consumer technology and giving it to you guys. This is what ASU is using for their portal. And here you can see, essentially, I have a little snippet of my inbox showing me the upcoming emails. I have my calendar, which I can drill down on. I don't think I have any events showing up. But if I did, I can also switch it to just an agenda view. I think I can click on each day, and it will show me what the events look like, but obviously I don't have anything put on there right now. And the other great thing is I can move all this around and customize it. So really the idea of the personalized start page is we took essentially what everyone uses or what we saw everyone using was the google.com homepage. So we give you the Google search bar right here and said, how can we make the rest of this page useful? So if you look at it, you can see, as I kind of said, it's the homepage you want to go to for your single point of moving elsewhere. I could potentially go to my Gmail, I could go to my calendar, I could put on other things, I could search through a directory. This is an external gadget that someone wrote, and I can add things that lets it be personalized to me. Many portal systems were designed around people coming to them and using them and customizing them, but people don't go to many portal systems on a daily basis, right? You go to the portal when you need that one piece of information or to access that one object in that portal that you're looking for. This is more the idea that, let's put that information on a page that they go to every day and that they can access.
One mental shift I think that I had to get used to was that this is not my domain's homepage. This is my students' essentially. And I mean, to accommodate that, I locked the first column. So I have control over that first column. They have control over the other two. But as users, they really like the idea that they can add whatever gadgets they want to columns 2 and 3. It appeases me because I've got the stuff that I want them to go to on column 1.
Yeah.
In this portal type system, can they also add the tabs like you can in iGoogle Home?
Not yet. So some of our technology on Google Apps gets to come first before it comes into the consumer world, and some of it is still being incorporated and rolling in to this stuff. So they're going to come. I can't say when they're going to come. Obviously, most of the functionality that iGoogle has, you'll be able to see similar type functionality, except for we're giving you the ability to control this header up here so you can customize it and brand it for your own school, put links in here, or put links down here as well.
Can I ask a non-technical question? The quotes of the day, the EdTech, the dictionary, are those services that you subscribe to that you can plug in?
Yes. So let me show you how easy it is to add something to. So also, if I want to move something, maybe from my personal preference, I think weather should be up here. You can just grab it and move it all around to really meet the needs of your own kind of personalized view. As was brought up before, we actually have the ability to lock in this column over here on the left. So we found that kind of from that portal example or environment, if you lock in everything, people don't go there. Right. But if you lock in some content and let them have some freedom around it, people still thrive and go back to this page and use it on a daily basis. So it's that kind of balance between letting users actually see the content you're trying to produce and have them access to, and letting them actually want to go to it. So yeah. So if you click this add stuff, it comes to our essentially directory of gadgets. And I can show you, let's go to let's see what's popular. Let's say,
is this directory the same as the tab directory? Or controlled?
Yeah, so here, let me show you.
Sorry.
No.
That would have to be part of the data, yeah.
Yep, so. Yep. So real quick, this is the admin interface. So what it looks like when you want to create and sign in and manage events. Here's where you create user accounts. It's just a simple click, create account. And here's where you can turn on and off all the services. So let's say I want to turn off the start page. I'll show you guys what that option looks like. Here's down at the bottom, you can say disable this. This means you can turn on the features or the events or services that are important and useful to you or to your organization or school, and you can really pick and choose the ones that work best for you. We don't require that you have to use any service or all the services that we produce.
I guess I was more asking if...
Yeah, so if I click on this customize start page, I think it's in this one. So here's where I choose the default content that's shown on the page, but where is it? Is it in publish? Is it in layout? No, that's where I lock it in. It might, at one point we gave you the option to select.
What are you looking for?
The ability to restrict the gadgets.
Is the idea of the ability of
you used to be able to
limiting the number of APIs that can be plugged into the page.
Yeah. So it looks like
Choose to select different ones It
Right.
would still be limited.
Right, but give them a library that they can choose from. Don't make it wide open.
Yeah, yeah. So it looks like one of our fun patches got pushed, and we don't have that restriction anymore right now because what happened was the content gallery that was first published was very restricted, right?
Right.
So now we give you access to everything, but I think we need to go back and find kind of that common balance between letting people choose or put some restriction on not letting certain gadgets go onto these pages. But all of these gadgets are...
Or maybe if
Basically,
they could add their own tab.
Yeah, exactly.
If they could add their own tab, then they could search
Yeah,
everything.
I think the concern is that the student might find a gadget you don't want them to add. Is that the scenario that you're...
Yeah.
So the gadget content filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I do know that there's some things in place that can take care of it. Unfortunately, I can't talk about it yet. Yeah.
Does Google roll things out like on Sunday? Because I've noticed that oftentimes on Monday, it's different. I just was wondering if that's true.
It depends. Each service has its own release schedule,
Okay.
and it depends on how long it takes to get through production and other things. So I wouldn't say there's like an official release day, like Sunday night is everything.
Most often I see it on
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one thing we look at is the number of people on the system and how we can impact change. And my guess would be that it's probably a low peak time from total use. But what we do, and it is interesting, is if there's an upgrade that happens, and let's say I'm logged into the system, for most of the time, we'll update another data center with that information. And then the next time you log out, we'll update that version so that when you log back in, there's never really a downtime period. So for many of the services, as much as possible, you want to make them available all the time. So when a change happens, it happens in the background, kind of, and next time you log in, you get to see it. So did you guys, I kind of went through a lot really fast. Was there anything kind of questions or anything specific you guys wanted me to talk about more? I know that we have about another 7 minutes.
I have a question about the calendar as well.
Uh-huh.
Maybe somebody brought this up earlier in the general session, but getting that calendar to your mobile device.
Yep.
Or integrating it with other.
Yeah, and we sort of danced around a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, but we're a smaller group here.
So the first thing I want to talk about, which I didn't around calendar, I'm happy you brought this up, is we essentially give you 3 ways to be notified for an event. Out of the box, 3 ways. The first is an SMS text message that we're willing to send you. That means that if you don't have a smartphone or something else, you can still be reminded 5 minutes in advance or however many minutes you want of that upcoming event. The second one is we'll send you an email for it. And the third is we'll do a pop-up. So, a box will essentially display and warning you of the event. Now, as far as, we also have a mobile view, a mobile web page view of the calendar. And let me see, I might be able to get it to render on here.
More than one option?
Pardon?
You have to choose only one, or can you choose more?
I believe you can only choose, I don't know.
Like have a pop-up and a text message.
Let's find out. No, so you can do all or as many as you want. I don't have a cell phone associated with this account, but the minute I associate a cell phone, meaning that we'll send a text message and you need to enter the code back in so that you're not sending SMSs to other people who don't, that's not your phone. You can essentially get emailed and SMS'd anytime a new invitation someone accepts, anytime something changes. You really have control about how you get notified, or we'll also send you the pop-up just happens by default.
No, it's the reminder. Add a reminder, Chris. And then drop down to pop-up.
Thank you. I don't.
Once that's done, then everything has a pop-up. Is that right?
Once that's done, then everything on that particular calendar has a pop-up. Yep.
So then does it have any other reminders, or just the pop-up?
It has all the reminders that you set in addition.
That you check down
so
here.
if you do the pop-up reminder plus whatever else.
And so let me see if I can get this to work. I think think it's /m. Yes. All right, I got it to work. So we also have this friendly mobile view, so that you can actually see the calendar on any, for most part, any normal cell phone that can display the internet, as well as a smartphone, giving you a kind of a quick access view of what's happening that you can add and edit events. Now, I think the root of your question is you want the calendar on your mobile device to sync up with the Google Calendar. So the solution to that right now is through a partner-based solution. So we provide open access APIs that other people can offer, kind of either a middleware layer, because we don't want to necessarily say we only subscribe to this type of device, or we're only making, syncing with this type of device. Our philosophy is let's give, open connections to this type of thing, and if that device itself wants to connect and support, we welcome that. And if someone else wants to build something that connects, so I'll show you. We have probably 5 or 10 companies that build that connection layer. And if you click on Partner Solutions, and then I think it's in the Solutions gallery. So here you can see here's all the partners that we have that essentially do different types of calendar syncing. So depending on what type of device you have and what kind of needs that you have, we have a number of different partners. And obviously we're going to continue to work on, providing that type of integration ourselves.
So what do you use?
To sync it to a BlackBerry? We have a number of tools that we're working on developing that use the BlackBerry APIs.
Okay, so to follow up in another question in the general session, talked about JotSpot and that integration. And
yep. All I can say around JotSpot is JotSpot is coming.
because what I'm looking at it for in an educational environment is that now that becomes a student's personal portfolio. That becomes their educational portfolio that they can put all of their work on. So now if they're going to go out and display work to other people, that's a place where they can store it. Now that can be accessed from anywhere.
Yep.
And that's a way for students to have that kind of space.
Yeah. I would say that that's probably something that would be possible. I mean, we don't have anything publicly released. Obviously, JotSpot is going to be something that we're integrating in and is going to continue to add functionality, very, very rapidly as we kind of pull more in. We spent a lot of time making sure it sits into our environment and plays, correctly with the correct permissions and the correct infrastructure. But at its peak, JotSpot even had the ability to basically build what they called, I think, templates. So you could build a template that had different types of settings. So you could build like a portfolio template potentially that would allow you to have each student have that same template and go through the whole process. Now, I can't say whether or not that's going to come out in the first generation of JotSpot or if that's something to come. But that idea of JotSpot has the mentality that everything is a wiki, and you just kind of build on top of that. So like documents and spreadsheets, kind of similarly, right? Wikis keep revision history. So every time someone changes something, it's interesting. So that maybe an example of this in an application where I thought it was useful was maybe a calendar, right? If a calendar was a wiki, it meant I could see what happened on that individual day, but I could also look back a month and see what events got added on that day, or what did I delete, or what did I change. So it provides a few extra access controls and whatnot. But something that's going to come in the future that I can't talk too much about, unfortunately.
Well, and when you have a Gmail account or a Google account, you can also have a web page.
Yes.
Pages, so
Yep. Yep. And I think you'll see, JotSpot help in that area in a number of different kind of publishing communications. Yeah.
You have on your apps up there a lot of beta splash screens. So when are you guys going to go on a lot of these things?
That's a great question. So Google considers a beta to be kind of different than a lot of other software companies. One of the reasons of this is because we have this idea that new things are added on constantly and whatnot. Usually for us to remove a beta moniker, there's certain sets of requirements we need to hit. That even could go down as far as being, it has to be translated in 100 languages, right? Sometimes it's even a non-technology, more just what we want the product to be at before we're going to take away and remove it from beta. But I think you'll see a number of these products very rapidly, start coming out of beta. We've hit a lot of different milestones and providing more and more language interfaces. We're providing more and more accessibility features and whatnot. And each different product has its own set of requirements it needs to hit before it comes out. So I can't say there's like a cookie cutter that, if it reaches this number of changes or fixes this amount of bugs or does other things like many other software companies, that's kind of how they work and how they associate that. We think until the product is completely ready, we're not going to take it away. That doesn't mean that the product's not going to function as well as many other products that aren't in beta. It's just kind of a different mindset that we have.
It kind of implies buggy.
Yeah.
So can we move it here?
Yeah.
Thank you. That was great.
Thanks.